Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to do a drive to a event center today. Let's get started. We're going to make a right hand turn out of here. I do have it sped up a little bit because it's doing just fine so far. Alright, coming up to our first light here. We got a freeway entrance coming up in about another quarter mile after this. Does just fine. Yep, speed was good. No issues entering the freeway. Alright, getting onto the ramp here. We're going to enter one more time. No problem. We're going to merge onto the other freeway here. And that's that. So a lot of this drive was freeway. The biggest thing I noticed was some lane changes and the blinker turning off, or the blinker not turning off. It was just kind of weird. It just stayed on for longer than it should have. So we'll be watching for that coming up here. But we're doing just fine so far. If you guys have noticed, I know the big update is probably going to be version 14 coming out in the next, I don't know, they're probably saying another month. So it's going to be exciting if it's going to change a lot of things. But I think that's going to be a wait and see, honestly, until we get it. Right now, we're still on version 13.2.9. Doing just fine here, though. It has no problem with staying in this lane, which was fine. The speed was good. Traffic was pretty light. It was just a Sunday, so there wasn't majorly any problems. But it did do good that way. Did have a mishap for one of my cameras here. We'll see that shortly. But yeah, I like how it got into this lane to pass the semi. That was a nice call. Then it gets right back over. So I thought that was nice how it did that. And then coming up, we will start to see, yeah, here we go. If you watch that camera on the bottom, this is where it starts to come loose. And you'll start to see it slowly slide. There we go. Down it goes. Alright, so I did slow it down here because the attention monitoring came on, and I don't know why, or it did turn off. I don't know why. So I did have to press the steering wheel just to get that to go back. That didn't happen again for the rest of the drive. Not sure if it was the sun, not sure if it had to do something with the other camera, if it messed up the camera sensor or something like that, or if it was glaring at it. I'm not sure. So didn't happen again though. So it got over, changed lanes here. Our exit's coming up in about another mile. So it got back over past this car. Gets back over again. And then I think it's going to get over in the right-hand lane in about another, yeah, a little bit. Here we go. Just slid right over. Didn't have any issues with that. And then we're going to merge onto the other freeway here in just a second. You can see really no problems here. It's doing just fine. The speed was great. Alright, this was an interesting spot coming up. We're going to merge onto the other freeway. So blinker's going to come on in just a second here. And here we go. Blinker's on. So it gets over into this lane. and then it got weird and it changed lanes again. You can see it just kind of moving over. It didn't cut off any cars, so I think it was watching, but I have no idea why it did that. And then we get back over here, and then coming up on our exit, I'm gonna back onto the city streets here. Alright, so coming up, here's our exit. I think I moved this a little bit longer. We had a pretty long light here. Yeah, so here we go. And this was interesting for me because we get out of here and I feel like by around now the blinker should have shut off and it didn't. And you'll kind of see it just kind of stays on, and I didn't understand that. You can see that's got a car over on the left hand side. That car was a little trying to figure out what we were doing, so it did make that car a little bit nervous there. And I was going to shut it off, and then it just finally turned off there. So I don't have any idea why it did that. That was just a really long signal for nothing. And we're going to make a right-hand turn. Alright, we have a right-hand turn here. And it's going to get over. And it's going to get over one more time. And coming up on the next light, it could have entered the convention center. It chose to take a different route, which was fine. So we got a light here, and that's going to go on through, and then we're going to turn into the convention center. It did just fine coming up. We had a yellow yield, which was fine. And there was no traffic, so it didn't stop. It just kind of slid right on through. So that was good. Coming up at the convention center, though, I wish it would have handled where it chose to stop. It was just kind of a bad choice for it. Guys, if you are watching, I really appreciate it. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get this channel to grow. Thank you very much, guys. Alright, we're coming up on our stop. You can see right around here, it's going to turn on its blinker and just kind of stop. And I nudged it forward because I didn't like where it stopped. So right here, and then I just moved it forward. Guys, thank you so much for watching.